All right. Yeah. Oh, shit. Okay. Try this again. All right. Get this right. Started filming one early. This would be a lot easier if we had the tripod that they stole, but I ain't tripping about that right now. I started trying to film one of these earlier, about with the same concept, and I was fumbling over my words too much. Take this head off. Okay. I think the only way I personally can do these things and the things that I'm doing is to do it in the most genuine and honest way possible. To be I hate when I one of the most difficult things for me is when I'm speaking and I'm more worried about how people are taking what I'm saying as opposed to the validity in what I'm saying, or as opposed to the truthfulness or the genuineness in what I'm saying. And I think that each time that I speak like that, it does a disservice to the issues that I'm speaking about. It does a disservice to the movement that I'm speaking towards. I think it even does a disservice to myself, and as far as the genuineness of my message and what's coming across. So I'm trying my best to do that less often. In the midst of doing that less often, I also find myself in a space where, with the understanding that I find myself in a space where I understand that for certain people, no matter what, they will never understand or they will never get the message, mostly because they don't want to and they don't have the desire to, because of the life that they live. It does not require them to. The experiences that they have does not require them to, or does not. What's up? One of these racist workers just drove by. So I understand there's a certain section of people who will never understand, never want to understand, and section of people will always use anything against me or against us or against the message that they can. And so the language used and the tactics used will always be something that they decry, or always be something that they don't agree with, or that they have negative opinions about. So those people can never be pleased. So it's no point of trying to please those people. So it's no point of altering actions or altering language or being disingenuous or being a different form of myself, or speaking differently than I would truly speak in order to please those people, because they'll never be pleased. There's another section of people who genuinely feel as if the message would come across better if different language was used. The message would come across better if more quote-unquote respect was given to police officers. And these are things that I've thought about and I've digested. More people feel if you speak like Martin Luther King Jr., or if you were speaking like Jesse Jackson, or they just want this desire to speak in a way that is comfortable to them, that is digestible to them, or speak in a way that is maybe it's not them that they're worried about, maybe it's other people who they want to understand, that they feel like the language will make the message become lost in translation. And I do believe that those people are genuine in their concern for that. I think that my response for that is, and this is something that's taken me time to understand and time to truly be able to articulate. I think my response to that has multiple layers to it. One part of the layer is that one of the issues that we have right now is that too many times too many times the language that somebody uses to a police officer becomes the justification in the assault or the false arrest or the murder that happens to that person. And so we won't be able to address that issue or solve that issue until we get to a place where we are no longer uncomfortable when somebody expresses their emotions to police officers in a way that maybe we personally wouldn't express it. That's a hindrance that you have. That's a bias or a prejudice that you have. Everybody does not take to intimidation the same way. Everybody does not take to traumatization the same way or victimization the same way. And so it would be, so we can't, we don't need to I'm not trying to be the perfect activist or the digestible activist or anything like that. This I'm I'm only being myself. I'm only speaking and talking and behaving in a manner in which I actually and would ordinarily behave. And I think that most people who were raised around the people that I was raised around, most people who were raised in some of the environments that I was raised around, if they dealt with if they were experiencing this type of harassment or these type of actions, whether it be from the police department or from City Hall, this would be their reaction too. And so it would be disingenuous if I didn't cuss when the police came. It'd be disingenuous if I didn't say fuck the police, or it'd be disingenuous if I didn't call them racist or any of those other things, because that would be what I was feeling. And then it would only do a disservice to me personally later on when I'm holding all of these things in while these officers are using all these tactics and some type of hope to look as if I'm right and they're wrong based off the fact that I'm being humble or meek as oppression is coming down, or as repression is coming down, or as harassment or intimidation is coming down. And I think that is part of the issue, is that for too long, when harassment and intimidation and these things come down, people have just been quiet, whether that's in the moment or whether that's later on, whether that's about how they felt at the time or how they felt about it afterwards. And I don't know anybody who could the only thing that I can do when the police officers come down here is speak, is talk, is film. I can't try to stand in the way when they tear down the memorials, because I'll be falsely arrested for obstruction of justice. I can't make any sudden movements that they may take as a threat, because then I may be assaulted or worse, killed. I can't use any type of physical action or has any type of physical altercation to try to prevent them from tearing down the memorials or prevent them from stealing things in the middle of the night. So the only thing I have at my disposal is to speak. And it's not as if we were dealing with people who could be converted, if we were dealing with people who just didn't understand the error of their ways, or who just didn't understand what they were doing, maybe then there could be a honest conversation about, well, if you speak, about trying to speak to them in a manner in which will be, I guess, respectable, or speaking to them in a manner in which, in a more respectable is not the right word, more considerate, I guess. You can make the argument for speaking to them in a more considerate manner. The reason that argument doesn't work with the police is because these people know what they're doing. We've been dealing with these same police officers for 12 months. I have not always spoken to the police officers the way that I speak to the police officers now. The same way that, loud ass bus. The same way that I have not felt about the police department the same way that I feel about it now. And I think that is also part of the issue, is that a lot of the people who feel as if they take issue with the language used is because they don't truly understand the issue at the level at which they think they understand the issue. Because I don't think anybody would take offense to somebody calling a Nazi a motherfucker, or somebody calling a Nazi a piece of shit, or calling a Nazi an asshole. I don't think anybody would take offense to somebody calling a slave owner a piece of shit, or calling a slave owner a motherfucker, or calling a slave owner an asshole, or any other slur. It's not a slur, or any other ad hominem word that may be used, especially if it was coming from the person who was the slave and being oppressed by the slaveholder, especially if it was coming from the person in the midst of the Holocaust being oppressed by the Nazis. The same thing, if this was Jim Crow, the Jim Crow South, and it was people out here being lynchers and taking place in lynching parties, and somebody was being lynched, I wouldn't feel differently about them being lynched because they was calling the people putting nooses around their necks motherfuckers and assholes and racist pieces of shit. I would actually, it would make me empathize with them more, because that's how I would feel as I was watching it. I ain't never watched when I watch back even videos of things that's happened whether it be in the past and I forgot about, or maybe it was a protest and I was at City Market or something like that, and I was in one area and somebody else was in a different area, and I see some of the arrests or I see some of the things that these police officers did, that's my emotion and my reaction. My reaction as I'm watching it isn't forgive them for they know not what they do. When you're there in the moment and you're watching these police officers assault people and throw people to the ground, and you see these same police officers then later on engage in activities like ripping down memorials, engage in activities like trying to steal blankets and hand warmers. People like that, those people don't deserve to be spoken to with respect. Respect is something that is earned, not given, and respect is something that you have to you continuously, your actions determine your respect level. And so when it's 4 o'clock in the morning and it's 15 police officers and and I've just been arrested the night before for a BS charge, and they've been for now almost going on 12 months. Me personally, I've dealt with harassment and intimidation tactics and racist microaggressions from these people. No, they don't get any more respect. You're out of respect. I'm not assaulting nobody. I ain't breaking any laws. There's no law that says police officers have to be spoken to with respect. And we're at the point now where they don't even abide by the laws. Like, even if it was a law that said police officers had to be spoken to with respect, I'm in a time where I've just watched a year ago these police officers who are who enforce city laws break the state law by moving a crosswalk sign because it was to their inconvenience in the midst for 4 hours in a day, and then every other day in the week the state law was valid. Every other hour of that day the state law was valid, but then when City Market came around they would move the sign and state law was invalid. So how can you expect me to respect people because they're supposed to enforce the law or because they're upholding the law, when I've seen these same departments break the law, not uphold the law? I've been charged with felony mob action for walking on a crosswalk by an officer who then attempted to murder 2 black people later on. You think that when I see him I should speak to him with respect? That says more about you than it says about me. And it says more about, and again, this is another one of the things that we have to understand is when we speak about tactics, is that language elicits emotions out of people. It's been true since the beginning of language, and it'll be true to the end of language. Certain language elicits certain emotions out of people, and specifically white people, when they see somebody, when they see a black man speaking with a certain tone, or using certain words, or speaking in what they deem to be a disrespectful manner to institutions maybe that they respect, that makes them stop. That makes them uncomfortable. That makes them feel feel as if they're not at ease. And that is what we're trying to get across, because every time I see a police officer, that's how I feel. And I felt like that before these intimidation and harassment tactics was going on. I felt like that based off the fact that people with my skin color have historically been oppressed and been unlawfully arrested and been assaulted and been murdered at the hands of police officers. And it's never came with any true consequences. It's never came with any true justice. For white people, that has not been the case. And so when they see police officers, they see them with a different light, or they see them with a different imagery, or they're different, a different type of symbolism to them. And so we have to break that. That's what part, like, it's not enough times somebody can say fuck the police. It's not enough times, because every time you say it, every time you say it publicly, every time it's displayed around the world, or in a song, or written on a sidewalk, you get that closer to somebody else saying fuck the police. You get that closer to more people trying to figure out why somebody's saying fuck the police. You get that closer, and the same thing, like, hold on, please. Yeah, loud ass trucks. Alright, them trucks loud as hell. I had to mute it. I had to turn the mic off. But the same thing. Well, we're not doing this to only get the attention of people who's going to agree with us. We're doing this to get everybody's attention. Cussing gets everybody's attention. It get everybody's attention. A movie being rated R, PG-13, that gets attention. And that's what's up, my man. And again, that's still secondary. You have to, whether it be with the siren being something that people find to be an annoyance and that getting their attention, whether it be the music being at a loud level and that being an annoyance and that get their attention, whether it be some people who just can't stand the sight of black faces and white spaces being the thing that get their attention, or even just outside of City Hall where just a chair and some chairs and blankets and a few people sleeping has gotten their attention to the point in which they feel the need to go out of their way to break constitutional laws to try to limit people's freedom of speech. So the point is to elicit an emotion. The point is to make people who are lethargic, people who are removed from the situation and removed from the issue, to force them to be moved by the issue, to force them to no longer be lethargic, to force them to feel some type of a way. And certain language does that. And again, that is what, it's not as if these words don't exist for a reason. There's a time and a place for language. That's the same thing I would say to my child, same thing I would say to anybody else's child or to anybody else. There's a time and a place for language. We are not saying, we not saying fuck the police for no reason. We're saying fuck the police, and we're not saying fuck the police without no information or we can't back it up or can't speak to it. And we're not saying fuck the police and we're the only people in the world, in the city that feel like that. There's a large amount of people who drive by here all the time and they honk their horn and they fuck the police. They don't honk their horn and say, Lord forgive them, they know not what they do. They don't honk their horn and say we don't all cops aren't bad. They drive by and honk their horn and they say fuck the police. NWA said fuck the police. YG said fuck the police. So yes, it's fuck the police. And it's fuck racist. If I have to, if I get a call and somebody telling me that a child or my son or something like that is saying fuck the police or fuck racist, the first thing I'm gonna wonder is what happened. It's probably a racist person right here. First thing I'm gonna wonder is what happened to make him make that statement. Again, we have to stop being so worried about the causes, so worried about the effects and more worried about the causes. Language is a cause, language is an effect. Language is an effect. The oppression is the cause of that language. The repression is the cause of that language. And so once you eradicate the causes, the effects go away, which has been a constant theme of this city, a constant theme of this nation, a constant theme of this country, is to put a bunch of money and a bunch of funds towards trying to deal with causes. I keep doing this shit. We're trying to deal with effects. Putting a bunch of money towards trying to deal with effects. That's what trying to haul drug dealers off the streets is. Trying to deal with the effects. Dealing with the causes would be trying to deal with the health crisis that is addiction issues. Trying to deal with poverty issues which lead to addiction issues. Trying to deal with mental health issues which can lead to addiction issues. But you don't see people. What's up, man? What's up? You don't see that type of gung-ho vigorousness when it comes time to address things like that. But you see it when it's time to address somebody dealing drugs or a drug dealer. You don't see when it's time to address gangs and gang violence and things like that. You'll see all these people come out the woodworks with all these different things that they need to do, and this concept of law and order and being tough on crime, not being soft on crime. But you don't then see that same type of go get it attitude, or that same type of vigor when it comes to building those communities up in which gangs are in, when it comes to putting more education in those areas in which the gang activities are in, or when it comes time to trying to get rid of the racist tendencies of the communities and the cities that these people live in. When it's time to start talking about equity and equitable dispersal of funds, you don't hear those things. When it's time to so put in more light poles in areas of the cities that are dark, as opposed to having so much light all the way up and down East State Street near downtown, where crime is less likely to happen. Hold on, let these go by. All these buses. Oh, it must be time for schools to get up. And so again, language is an effect. Language is an effect. It is not a cause. Me cussing out the police officers is an effect. The cause of that is whoever is telling these police officers to come down here at 4 in the morning and rip down memorials, to come down here at 4 in the morning and to give out legal citations, to come out here at 4 in the morning. Oh, Ku Klux Cop alert! Ku Klux Cop alert! Ku Klux Cops out. So those is the causes. And when you address the causes, the effects go away. It won't be no disrespect of police officers if police officers stop doing things that are of a disrespectful nature. And again, them doing these 4 in the morning raids is just it's just a dramatization of the things that they do all the time. This is what they do all the time, trying to do raids at people's houses in the middle of the night, putting everybody who's there when they do these raids in the middle of the night, lives at jeopardy and lives at risk. Even the people involved in the raids on the police department side, putting everybody in a situation in which nothing positive can come out of it. Nothing positive can come out of it. But that's what they do. That's how Breonna Taylor was killed. That's how, if we had doors, if we was doing all these same things and we just had it was a building, they'd be kicking down the building. Go look up what they did to the Black Panthers. And again, I'm not saying we the Black Panthers or nothing like that at all, but I'm saying that these tactics have been used regularly. These are not new tactics, and they've been used for the same reasons. They've been used for repression. They've been used for political purposes. They don't come down here and rip down the memorials at 4 o'clock in the morning to keep the community safer. They do it for political reasons. They're not making arrests for people protesting about the swearing in of aldermen to keep the city and the community safer. They're doing it for political reasons. Police officers are the muscle for politicians. It's that simple. And so Tom McNamara and Kyle and Todd's whatever them racist men last name is, they are using the police like minions, and and shipping them out. And so the same thing goes for them. Tom McNamara don't deserve no respect. Hold on, Tom McNamara don't deserve no respect. Adolf Hitler didn't deserve no respect. Richard Nixon don't deserve no respect. Donald Trump don't deserve no respect. Your actions dictate. Kyle Saunders, Kyle Saunders, racist ass. Your actions dictate respect. And the same thing. If somebody feel as if they don't feel like they need to respect me or they don't have to respect, that's completely their prerogative. I'm not out here as much as I believe that the things that we are standing for are respectful, and as much as I believe that all the manners in which we are doing it are respectful, I'm not finna lose no sleep because somebody who is racist don't respect me, or somebody who is ignorant don't respect me. It's plenty of people whose tactics I may not agree with, but because I know that what their end goal is, because I know what their objective is, because I know what they're deploying those tactics for, I can respect them for that. As opposed to Tom McNamara, who we're coming up on a year, and I just went through and was looking at watch the press conference that he had after May 30th, and you watch this man get up here and use and give this pretty speech and use all the right sentencing and the right phrasing, and talking about systemic issues and systemic wrongs, and understanding that talking about lawlessness not needing to happen, but understanding the reasoning for it and stuff like that. And then you get the next day, and again, May 30th happened on a Saturday. On this Sunday, got up there, had a bunch of pastors with him and a bunch of other black leaders with him, got up there and he spoke in what some may consider eloquently. And then in the 12 months that has followed, when this issue has actually manifested, he has not said the name of a single victim. He has not had a press conference to address a single shooting. He has not had a press conference to address a single assault. He had a press conference to address when Chief O'Shea was catching flack from saying that he had no use for teenage boys past 15, 16, 17 or whatever if they were breaking the law, which has fully manifested in Jose Gonzalez Jr. being shot while he was running away, a 19-year-old. That's a manifestation of that's a fulfillment of that prophecy that O'Shea had. And unless something drastic changes in the city, it will be multiple fulfillments of prophecies of that O'Shea had. When he spoke about the community members as animals, you've seen how the police department has continuously treated people in that manner. When he spoke about teenagers not having no use for him, you've seen how the police department has done the same thing and reacted in kind. And so, but the mayor had a press conference after O'Shea caught flack from that statement, and he spoke about how he disagreed with that and how he did value teenagers and how nobody was past saving. But then when the fulfillment of that prophecy that O'Shea made came to manifestation, when Jose Gonzalez Jr. was shot, a 19-year-old who Owen McGinnis discarded. He did not think his life mattered anymore because of the teachings of Ku Klux Cop O'Shea. Once that happened, there's no press conference then. So there's a press conference when he gives the prophecy and says that that his officers have no use for teenagers, and lets you know that eventually they will try to shoot a teenager or kill a teenager, whatever they need to, bring them in dead or alive. They just want to get them off the streets. So you have a press conference when he makes the statement, but then when the statements come to fruition, there's no press conference. When the statement comes to fruition, you don't mention the name of the teenager. How can you say that that you value the life of every community member? And then when community members are shot by your law enforcement, you don't even mention their name or reach out to their family. I sat and watched as Tom McNamara had a conversation with the mother of Tyrus Jones, and there was no empathy. He had no empathy or no care or there was no true acknowledgement of the issues that caused her son to be shot, no true acknowledgement of the pain and the grief that she was going through, no true acknowledgement of the inhumane treatment that she had dealt with from the police department. All it was somebody just trying to get done with the conversation so they could go home, get in the car so they could go home. There was no genuine response. There was no genuine care. And so, yeah, I can say that fuck Tom McNamara. I've seen his actions say fuck black people. I've seen his actions say fuck the family of people who have been shot by police. I've seen his actions say fuck the sacrifices that your ancestors have made. Because if he did not feel that way, then he wouldn't allow his police officers to be weaponized against protesters. There's been no the city. Oh, it's a big truck finna come by. I'm gonna mute it. All right, yeah, two big trucks coming by, so I'm gonna just try to mute it whenever the trucks come by. And so I think that is I think that's appropriate language. Okay, so let's sort of veer away to tactics real quick. And it's nothing that I've ever done or that I ever plan to do, which I feel needs to be secret or kept from people knowing. All my actions are transparent. And so after I was arrested on Tuesday night, I was released. It was basically Wednesday morning, 2 o'clock in the morning or so. Ari was arrested immediately after that. When I was pulling up from getting out of jail, they was picking Ari up. And that was coming on. That's coming on the heels of, we haven't even been a month removed from Faustin Guaitigo being murdered and Jose Gonzalez Jr. being murdered. Not even a full week removed. Not even a full 2 weeks removed. From these police officers coming down at 4 a.m. and destroying Faustin Guaitigo's memorial, destroying the memorials of Jovan Fresco, Eugene Washington, Mark Barmore, Logan Bell, Kerry Blake, and Demetrius Bennett. These are all the things that have happened just in the last month. So I highly believe that we are in a point and in a place in which we cannot afford for any state-sanctioned violence to happen or any institutional victimization to happen and for there not to be a reaction to it. That is how we have God. I think that is why we are so deeply dug and so deeply behind, is because of the amount of actions that these institutions have taken, and there have been no reactions been done to them. I think it's the reason that even something just as small and as minuscule as chalk being written on a sidewalk has Ku Klux Kyle Saunders running around here with his hair on fire. Just a handful of people from an organization that hasn't even been in creation for a full year yet. Just a handful of them occupying outside of City Hall has these white people and these Uncle Toms running around with their head on fire because they so used to it being no reactions after this state sanctioned violence, because they're so used to it being small ripple effects, or they're so used to it being of it coming and going, of the ebbing and flowing of it. And again, that's not to say that it hasn't been ebbs and flows. On May 30th, it was 1,000 people. Nobody had been killed here in Rockford, Illinois. Faustin Guaitigo was murdered in unincorporated Winnebago County, which is Rockford, Illinois, by Winnebago County Sheriff deputies who are Rockford, Illinois, the law enforcement of Rockford, law enforcement that is deployed in Rockford, Illinois, drive through Rockford, Illinois, and we had about 60, 70 people at the march. So there's obviously ebbs and flows. So it's obvious that we are not in a place where the right amount of power has been built. And so that is, I think that is indicative of how far behind as a city we were, how far behind as a community we were, and us being that far behind as a city and as a community, as a society in a sense, has allowed for these institutions to continue to live in the 1960s and the 1970s, and continue to use actions which are not compatible with 21st century humanity. And so that is the type of, that's the tone in which, that's the room, and people say take the temperature of the room. That's the temperature of the room that we are coming into. That they are so. Nobody's burning buildings down here. Nobody is looting City Hall or anything like that. It's not 1,000 people outside of City Hall stopping people from coming in City Hall. It's not spray paint all over City Hall or nothing like that. But based on the actions that they have taken, the things that they have done, if this was a different city, that is what will be going on. In some cities that are more further ahead, there would have been a much bigger uproar and outcry based on the inhumane activities that have come from this institution being City Hall and other institutions, whether it be the state's attorney's office or it be the police department. And that's not me trying to say that's what people should do. I'm telling you that's what people would do based on historically. Since May 30th, they have shot 3 people. 3 people have been shot here. Not only have they shot 3 people, they've shot 3 people. One of those people have been killed, and then a 4th person was beat like Rodney King, and nothing has been done about it. No officer has been charged. No officer has been reprimanded. No genuine. 2 people have been assaulted. Sage was also assaulted heavily too. There's been no institutional admittance of guilt. No institutional admittance of wrongdoing. No institutional acceptance of fault. And if there's no admittance of wrong and no acceptance of fault, there's no reason to believe that actions in the future will be different. So that tells you that they don't plan to change any of these things. They plan to continue to do these things. What's up, my man? How you feeling, brother? Man, love, bro, for real. Love. How long you in town for? Not too long? 1 second, hold on. Okay. My fault, y'all. Bro just slid through. I had to holler at him real quick, man. Shout out to everybody who been, whether it's sharing statuses, whether it's donating, buying food, dropping food off, having conversations with other people. Shout out to everybody who has been integral in us continuing to push the conversation forward, continuing to raise awareness and heighten the consciousness of the city. Every person has played a part. There's no way to weigh whose part is more important or less important. So many moving parts in all of these things. I think that everything that everybody does is is of high importance. So I just wanted to say that real quick. So I'm gonna try to hop back on tactics. So we was talking about tactics. So I was speaking about how far behind Rockford is, and how if Rockford wasn't so far behind, some of the actions that they've taken, they would not have been able to take those actions. And so that brings us to me being arrested on Tuesday night. Got arrested Tuesday night. Got out Wednesday morning. When I got out Wednesday morning, there's not we don't have 100 people here. There's the city hall. The inside of city hall is closed. There's not many things that can be done. But I am of 100% of the mindset, and that is that there cannot be an action that these institutions taking and not be a reaction back. And so we have been writing chalk. I picked up some chalk and I wrote with some chalk. But another thing that we have done before on the 100th day, when they came down and they tore down the canopies, we had some trash, some bags with trash that was inside the canopy. We had some different food items and water and stuff like that. And so myself, I'm not speaking for nobody else. Myself, there was nothing else that could be done on day 100. There was no assaulting the police officers. There's no trying to stop the police officers from tearing the canopy down. There's no trying to set the city hall on fire. None of those things will work. The only thing that could have been done was to throw the trash everywhere. Google the Boston Tea Party. It's not the exact same. Again, some of this is apples and oranges, but I'm just saying that protesting, especially if you're speaking about trying to do it in what you may consider a non-violent manner, you have a limit on the actions that you can take. But the manner in which this is that there cannot be something done by the institution that you do not react to. This is not and I don't know. Again, some of the issue with this is that people have not looked into protesting or looked into demonstrations or looked into campaigns and Googled and read things. But there is a reaction. When they arrest somebody, you have to have a reaction to it. When they shoot somebody in the streets, you have to have a reaction to it. The lack of the reaction, the lethargicness, that is what enables them to continue to do things. That is what gives them the power to do things. And so every time that they make a false arrest, there has to be something stated by the community and by the us as May 30th Alliance as an organization that we're not going to just let this happen with no response. You're not going to just do this and it be covered up and it just happened in the middle of the night and nobody else knows about it. And so everybody that was on. So I went and I found I went to the city trash, the trash cans that belong to the city, and I dumped that trash out at City Hall. And I littered that trash out at City Hall. I am well within my rights to express to the institution of Rockford and to the institution of City Hall how I feel about them. I'm well within my rights to if the actions in which they taken are garbage, to make sure that the actions in which I take speak towards that and speak to that. And again, this goes back to the language idea. Like somebody might say, well, City Halls, you should respect City Hall. City Halls, you got to respect the Rockford government. Those things are true when those governments and when those institutions are acting and behaving in a respectful manner. When you have a building that employs multiple white nationalists, multiple racists, multiple Uncle Toms, and these racists and these white nationalists and these Uncle Toms take it further than just having a mind state, when they engage in weaponizing the police, when they engage in falsifying statements to the newspapers and trying to shift false narratives to the community and to people at large, they no longer are deemed respectful. It's one thing to be an Uncle Tom in mind state. It's another thing when your actions start being like that. Once your actions start, everybody is free to have their own thoughts and their own beliefs. But once your actions start being, once you start doing things that are purposefully detrimental to the liberation of black people, purposefully detrimental to bringing awareness to the oppression of black people, you no longer deem any type of respect, and your actions deem that a reaction must come from them, or your actions will reign supreme. When somebody starts speaking and they're saying something that's not true and they're yelling something out that's false, you become culpable as well if you sit there and you don't respond back, or you sit there and you don't give a counter argument, and you just allow everybody that's there to hear this one side of the argument. It becomes part of your fault too that this is the only thing being heard. And so it should be known that for the rest of the spring and the rest of the summer, there will be no false arrest and then the false arrests having no reactions. There will be no shooting of people in the streets and the shooting of people in the streets have no reactions. There will be no assaulting of people in the streets by the police department and the assaulting of the people in the streets have no reactions. When the Japanese bomb Pearl Harbor, America has a reaction. When the police last year, when an unmarked car was shot at by a civilian, the police chief came out and had a reaction and basically gave a speech that amounted to we gonna be beating niggas ass all summer and spring, and that's what they went out there and did. Right after that speech was when they was pulling over teenagers in cars with their guns unholstered. Right after that speech is when a young man, believe almost had his arm broke at the gas station. Right after that speech is when they was constantly over policing and pulling over people that was black and brown. And so even the police has a reaction when things happen. But nobody has any type of judgment or thought process, when the police have a reaction to something happening. And so we have to get to a place as a community where we start instilling not only in the minds of the community members, but in the minds of these institutions that there will be some type of reaction. And the differing of tactics is part of the power of those reactions. Them not knowing what the reaction will be or who will react or in which way which person will react is part of the tactics. It's the reason that you don't just go breaking into everybody's house. You don't go breaking into everybody's car. It's the reason you don't do a lot of things in life besides the idea of being arrested or besides the idea of having to deal with the police or the court system. There is an understanding. If you do something, if you as a civilian do something to your neighbor as a civilian, your neighbor as a civilian will have a reaction. And he is within his rights to have a reaction. An argument can be made that the police department exists to try to circumvent that reaction from your neighbor and to make the state be the one who has the reaction for whatever reason. So there's nothing in life that comes without a reaction. But for too long in Rockford, there's been no reaction. In Winnebago County, there's been no reaction when people or not enough of a reaction and not enough of a reverberating or echoing reaction. And so I threw that trash all over this motherfucker. And it's on film. It's on film. I'm not ashamed of it. I don't think I did nothing. I know I didn't do nothing wrong or nothing or break no laws doing it. If that's the case, they're gonna have to fire they're gonna have to prosecute the people who pick up the garbage up here every Monday because they be having trash flying all over this motherfucker too. After they come pick up the trash on Mondays, it's trash all over this whole place. And so then, let me get some of this coffee. Hold on 1 second. Yeah. And so they picked up, and so they was able to pick up that garbage. If somebody gets paid to pick up that garbage, it's somebody's job to pick up that garbage. It's the city's job to pick up that garbage. And so the person who came in, he knew we got arrested that day. He knew that the city had did something that day. Everybody on this street on Wednesday morning knew that Tuesday night something happened between the people protesting or the May 30th Alliance in the city. They might not have known what it was specifically, and that's what the point of trying to build this platform higher is. That's what the point of trying to build the consciousness and awareness higher is, and so that people can know what it is that's happening. So that is something that we're still working on, but we are getting to a place now where people know that it's something happening. People know that is something happening. And so again, that's where we stand at. That is what the problem is right now. A lot of people ask the question about what's the end goal or what's the objective or what is the answer, what are we supposed to do, and for too often people ask that question and they ain't looked into none of the shit we talking about. They ain't read no books, they ain't try to get no more informed. They just want to know, how can this stop? They just want to know, how can they stop hearing about it? They just want to know, when can the protests stop? They just want to know, when can this be something in the past? They don't genuinely care about the issue, because if they did, they would be informing themselves about the issues. Get a book. Go buy a book. Go listen to speech. Go Google things. Go look on YouTube. We are not in a place. We are so far removed from answers. We are so far removed from objectives. We so far removed from goals. In Rockford, people don't even know when people get shot by the police. If you want to answer, if you want to answer, that's what we need. We need more mediums to get the information to the community members about the state-sanctioned violence that's coming down on people's heads. We need more people in the community willing to have a voice and speak out when these actions are taking place from the state. We need more people in the community willing to stop business as usual, to try to get justice and to try to get change for families who have been victimized and traumatized. And then once we get to that type of a place, then we can start talking about end goals and objectives. Once we get to a place where when somebody is shot by a Ku Klux cop while they are unarmed, and 20 or 30% of the people in the city don't go to work that next day because they protesting, or when a portion of the city can be shut down, or when everybody is outside the police district or outside the jail, or when we get to the that type of a place, when in a city with 147,000 people, 140,000 people, when we get to a point when at least 2 or 3% of those people are stopping what they are doing because they cannot because their conscience cannot permit them to go on 24 hours with their day after something like this, after some type of police terrorism action has come down. That's when we will get to a place where we can start figuring out answers. There's not enough people asking the question for answers to be figured out. I guess that is what I'm trying to say. We are still in the place where we are trying to get people to ask the question. So stop trying to figure out what the answer is. You ain't even asking enough questions. If you already on the question, what's the answer? I can tell you that you ain't got enough information. Because once you start getting the information, you know that the only answer to the question is what's the answer, is that right now it ain't no answers. There may be people in different places who have theories, who have ideas, but there's no answers right now. Not when Lil Makia Bryan get shot by a race soldier in the streets, and it's Uncle Tom's going out their way to make Facebook statuses justifying it. We not when Faustin Guaitigo get shot down and lynched and murdered in the streets, and us as a city, people just going about their weekends, going about their days. We not there yet. The unfortunate thing is that if I could give people a crystal ball for the next 5 years and let everybody see who it was the state-sanctioned violence was going to come down on, who it was this police terrorism was going to come down on, all of those people, all of their family, they'll be mobilized. All the people who care about those people will get mobilized. If on May 30th we could have laid out to you what was going to take place in the next 12 months, and how just staying involved, just staying active could alter those things from taking place in the manner in which they took place, I do believe that people would have stayed more active. I do believe people would have done more. I do believe I believe part of the issue really just is that enough people aren't awake, enough people aren't conscious, enough people aren't aware of these issues. And once we start getting more of these people aware of the gravity and of the issue, then we will start having more people actively asking, looking for answers and looking and asking these questions. And then we'll get to a place in which we're taking true steps forward. All right, let me see something. All right, I think I covered everything we went through. Language, went through tactics. I'm going to get a drink real quick, and then I'm going to just do a little quick rundown to end it. All right, my fault. Okay, so I think it's going to be rainy. Supposed to rain a little bit this weekend, but nonetheless, we have events for Saturday and Sunday, 5 o'clock to 8. Come down to City Hall. We're going to have talk down here. We'll be conversating, organizing. And that's a 24/7 invitation. You can come down to City Hall anytime. We always got people from the May 30th Alliance here. But besides that, the next event is going to be Tuesday, Food Truck Tuesday. We will be at Mississippi for every Food Truck Tuesday for the entirety of the spring and the summer, as long as the weather permits. So please come out there. We'll have pamphlets and business cards and people from the organization there to have conversations and to speak. We'll also be streaming live while we're down there. So if you can't make it, just follow the May 30th Alliance page, and you can keep up with everything that's going on down there. May 21st is the first city market. So mark your calendars. If you work second or third shift, Make sure you get May 21st off so you can be out there with us at City Market. We put out a couple of posts showing about how, oh, I can't hear you, racist white man. I can't hear you. May 21st, again, May 21st, First City Market. Make sure you got your calendars checked off. 4 o'clock. We're going to be 4 o'clock until the City Market end. We're going to be outside. May 30th for Lions at Proton Mail for the not Cash App, for PayPal's May 30th for Lions at protonmail.com. Venmo, same thing, May 30th for Lions at protonmail.com. I think that's how you do Venmos with the .com. For Cash App symbol, and May 30th Alliance, or $ May 30th Alliance. Again, the Cash App is the Cash App symbol, May 30th Alliance, or $ May 30th Alliance. May 21st, First City Market. May 30th, we will have a march, a rally and a march on May 30th, 2021 to bring remembrance to what took place on May 30th, 2020 in Rockford, Illinois. We'll be meeting at Haskell Park. That starts at 3 o'clock. We'll have food, some speakers, food and guest speakers and music and things like that. So please come out. And again, we will also a march will be taking place. And damn, it's a loud ass truck. Damn, this truck loud as hell. Oh, it's two loud ass trucks. Hello, how y'all doing? Damn, it's the wind. The wind's so nuts. There's a lot of noise. I'm sorry. So I'm going to do another video on the May 30th Alliance page. Again, I'm going to continue to try to keep doing these lives as regular as possible. Make sure you go listen to episode 1 of on the May 30th Alliance podcast, wherever. I think it's available on Spotify and Pocket Cast and the other few places where podcast is out. We have a new episode of that coming soon. Subscribe to May 30th Alliance on YouTube. Follow us on May 30th Alliance on Facebook, on Twitter. We outside.